Yes, yes. So I'm just going to place a background image. All I have to do is select place, find my image, hit place, and you're going to see it loads up into this little icon. What that means is I can click and drag a box the size I need, and that's going to be my background image. I'm going to right click on it and hit arrange, send to back, or I could always open my layers panel, find the image and drag it to the lowest, and you're going to see it's going to create the stacking order. So I have this graphic, and it's a little hard to work with in this how it's visualized right now. So I'm just going to create a mask. So I'm going to draw a vector box above my artboard. With the box selected, I'm going to hold shift and select the background. Now right click and hit make clipping mask. And it's just going to do that. It's just going to create a mask of my object. Basically, the vector shape above reveals what is behind it. And then I'm just going to click and drag that to the bottom. So my hide graphic is a little hard to see because I got black on black. So I'm just going to change the black to white here just for fun. So I just select all the similar. And I guess these are not similar enough. So I'm just going to highlight that, select the similar for those two. It appears to have selected the rest. And I'm going to make them white. Okay. Not great, but so not perfect, but it gives us a little bit more of an example to work with. Same with the name of the artist. I'm just going to shrink it, change the color. Okay. So now I have my icons. It's time to export. So whatever artboard I have selected, I'm going to go File, Save for Web. So what this does now is it brings up an optimized panel. So this panel has a few things. Let's look at the top here. First, I have my original image, which is 106 megs. Way too big for the web. Definite no-no. I will be marking your file sizes for this assignment, so this is important to play around with and grasp. Sorry for the background noises. That's my cat playing with her toy. Stop it. Okay. So now if I go to the next option, optimized, you're going to see it optimizes it a little too much and it's not looking good. We're at 30K. And then lastly, the 2 up is going to give me the options to reference my optimized graphic and my original, which is cool. So let's look at this a bit. So since my graphic has a background image that is a JPEG, so this is not vector, I'm going to have to optimize this. I'm going to have to export this graphic using a different compression than how I would treat a vector graphic. And I did this on purpose. So in your settings here, you have the option to play around with stuff to get different optimized results. So first is GIF, then JPEG, then PNG. I'm going to try JPEG. JPEG is always better for images that aren't vector. JPEG is a compression for images. So the difference between JPEG and PNG, the big one, is transparency. So PNGs, you can have a transparent background. So we'll get there. So If I select JPEG, right away you're going to see my optimized option changed, but it's still pretty big. We're at about 60K, so it's about half the size. And the quality appears to be at about 100%. Let's drop down to maybe medium. Still pretty good. I can zoom in to reference stuff. So now I'm at 34K, which is small enough for the web, but let's see if I can shrink it even more. Obviously, the smaller I shrink it, the faster it's going to load onto my device, and the better the user experience will be. So I have other settings here. Let's go right down the low. So you can see how low now starts to really pixelate things. So medium might be a better choice. Medium at the original size is not really noticeable. So that might be the smallest we can get this. You can change things by how it's downloaded. So progressive download means that it's going to download, it's going to reveal the image as it's downloading, compared to if you select non-progressive, it means it's going to wait till the image is downloaded 100% to reveal anything. So sometimes you'll go to a website and you'll see the image load from top to bottom. That's progressive. So all I'd have to do now is, if I wanted to save for JPEG, in this case, for Apple, you're gonna have to save as PNG. For most icons, you have to save as PNG. So you have PNG 8, which is the color bit. So you can only have 8. You can only have 8 bits per channel. We're getting a little technical here, but let's just say you have a lesser quality of color range compared to PNG 24. PNG 24, you're going to have a lot more color options. So let's just look at PNG 8. We're at 200K. PNG 24, we're at about the same. So let's go PNG 8. I might want to bring down some of these options. And you can just play around with stuff and see. In this case, it's not bad in this case. So we're at about 50K, which is probably the smallest we're going to be able to get this graphic. So that's probably too, like, we're losing quality now if I go any smaller, right? So for PNG, it looks like the smallest we can get was, yeah, it's about 50K. So the JPEG in this case is compressing smaller. Although for our icons, we need to make sure that they're PNG. So we can just go save. It's going to ask us to save the file. And please name these appropriately. Example, iPad 57 pixels. Save. And now you're going to have an optimized graphic icon. So let's say I wanted to now export this artboard. I would just select it, go File, Save As, and it's going to bring up that artboard. And you're going to see that in this case, we have a transparent background, which JPEG does not offer. JPEG has no transparency, which is not good for this example. So let's look at GIFs have transparency, and you can see my graphic here. I'm going to zoom in one more time, Control plus, is really fuzzy. In this case, let's just go to PNG right away. So the PNG 24 at 14K, so very small file, is almost 100% similar. It's a little blurry because my icon is very small, but that's okay. It still gives us an example. Let's go to PNG 8, 4K. So we're getting a little pixelated. Let's just zoom out and see. A little hard to tell. Might want to play with some of these settings and get it to look a little more. So these are just different color settings. It's basically guessing the colors in my graphic. So it's only exporting the necessary colors rather than a full color palette. So this is a good example of swatches. So in this case, the PNG 24 is the safest solution. 14K is pretty small. If I wanted to go, so in this case, for the PNG 8, so I'm happy with that for the PNG 8, and my file size is 5K about, which is great. That's super small. I'm just gonna go save iPod. The smaller iPod version. So now I have my two icons exported as small as possible. If I want to check the size of my file, I can go right click properties. So I have 4.3K, which is awesome. So everybody please export your avatar icons individually, and each file should be optimized as you will be marked.